So you want to go get your own authority. You see all these YouTube truckers talk out here now talking about, I'm making $8,000, $10,000 a week. I'm getting $4 to $5 a mile on every load, and showing their fancy vehicles and everything they're doing because they're making so much money. Well, I don't think they're doing anybody any favors. So I want to talk about kind of the truth behind having your own authority, everything real that goes into it, and maybe even some downsides of it. Because if you're going to go do this just for the money, I don't think that's a very good reason. Because the money doesn't last. This money won't be there forever. And then once it's gone, what do you got left if you didn't build a good business and have a good business plan? Okay? Some people are out there pimping, their paychecks every week and never tell you when they gotta eat a bag of dirt on a load. Some people do. There's a few guys out there that do it really well, and if you watch the channel, you'll pick up on some of them. But I don't feel like there's enough truth being told about it. So let's talk about that a little bit today. There's a reason why when you go to a bank for a truck loan, they want 30 to 35% down in most cases. It's because trucking is a risky business with a very high failure rate. So let's try to cut down that failure rate a little bit with knowledge and gathering all the information we can, going into it with a better plan. And I'm not trying to tell you not to go out and get your own authority. I'm just saying, go into it knowing as much as you possibly can, knowing the risks involved, and knowing the downsides. Because this is the type of thing where you're going to put out a lot of money to get into this, and bankruptcy is real. It can ruin your life for years to come. So let's not go down that road, and let's not do that. There is no harm or shame in not doing something. If you're leased to a company and you're happy and you're doing very well, stay there. There's nothing wrong with that, because things can go bad very quickly when you have your own authority. And if you're let's clear something up right now, okay? If you're leased to a carrier, and I hear people say this all the time, and is one of the biggest misunderstandings that drives me nuts in this whole industry. People that are unhappy or want to do better, I understand wanting to do better, but making this statement of, I'm paying my carrier 20%, and what are they doing for me? Well, first of all, you're not paying your carrier a damn thing, okay? You don't pay them, they pay you, okay? They might be holding back 20%, but you're not paying them 20%. They don't work for you. You work for them. They did not fill out an application to come work for you. You filled out an application to go work for them. Don't do that to yourself. I know this might piss you off, but you are harming yourself by using that methodology of understanding. Okay, you're misunderstanding a relationship, and it leads to they owe me something, or they're not doing enough for me. If you want to find out what that 20% is worth, go get your own authority and have somebody not pay you, or find out that your first month in business, you need to float about $50,000 by the time you talk about fuel bills, freight bills, money, other money going out. You'll find out what 20% is all about. Okay, so let's just not do that. Let's understand the relationships the way that they are. So first thing I would say about having your own authority is that you better like to do paperwork. Okay, there is a ton of record keeping and paperwork in having your own authority, and you got to do it. There's no way around it, and you have to understand and even know to do these things in the first place. Okay, there's quarterly filings for several different states, and then besides your income taxes on top of it. Now you can outsource this stuff, like your quarterly, your IFTA, your weight distance taxes, your ad valorem taxes. But there's a lot of little things like this that your carrier does as part of these, 20%, whatever, 15% that you don't know about. Now they're your responsibility. Okay, you can outsource these things, but I really suggest you take the time and learn to do them yourself, because number one, it increases your knowledge base and your skill set. Number two, you need to be in touch with your business and what's going on in your business. If you don't know any of your numbers, how can you be in touch with your margins, your cost per mile, your fuel costs, everything like this. Okay, I suggest you learn how to do these things yourself. If you don't like to do these things, don't want to do these things, you say, I just don't want anything to do with it. I got this person over here. Then, you know what? When this person over here starts embezzling money from you and screwing you and overcharging you, you have nobody to blame but yourself. When you have your own authority, you are on your own completely. To go along with that is compliance in this thing called liability. You have drug testing, you have permits, you have all these things. You start paying somebody to do these things for you every year, that money is really going to add up. Okay? And if you outsource your compliance and you don't bother to learn the regulations, how are you going to know if they're doing it right? They could do it wrong every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and you are still responsible for it. Okay? So once again, I highly recommend you learn these things. And the responsibility in trucking and liability is very serious. If you had an accident and your drug testing was not up to par, you are in serious trouble. Okay? So know the risks like that and the responsibilities going into this. These are all still things that 20% portion that goes to your carrier, they take care of these things. Okay? In addition to that, the 20% that they keep is they got to have a portion of money for just assuming that responsibility, because it's an enormous one. Now, not only to go along with responsibility, you not only have a responsibility in the legal aspect, but to your customers, to brokers, customers, anybody you do business with. How are you at delivering bad news? If you say you have your own authority for a few years, you work to get some in-house customers, and we all have problems. ELDs are a real thing now. How are you going to feel about calling that customer that you worked so hard to get, and you begged and pleaded and negotiated your ass off to get this freight? How are you going to feel about calling them and telling them that you can't make their appointments? You can't sit there and blame them. You can't blame this person. You can't blame that person. They do not care. You negotiated for that freight to pick it up, deliver it, and now you have to deliver bad news. How are you with that? Everything you worked for all those years can disappear like that and just be gone. They don't care. There's somebody else waiting to take your place. So if you can't deliver bad news and handle people like that, then maybe this ain't for you either. One of the biggest possible downfalls of having your own authority is you are very truly and completely, once you have your own authority, on your own. When you have a problem at a shipper, receiver, maybe you have a breakdown, maybe you blow a tire, who are you going to call? You're going to miss picking up that phone and calling your dispatcher and say, hey, I need some help. You're calling a breakdown line and say, hey, send a service truck. You're on your own. You're going to find your own damn service truck. You're going to deal with your own customers and rescheduling appointments, and find out that not all appointments are easily rescheduled. Okay, people will bully you. They will say, "We didn't make your appointment. I got another one available in 3 days if you want that one." And you're going to say, "Well, I only got one trailer. You can't tie this thing up for 3 days." That's all I got. Take it or leave it. You're gonna run into situations like this. Can you keep your cool and continue to be professional and do business? I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time with that one, but you bite your tongue and you live to fight again another day. In negotiations, the person with all the power is going to win. You are one man with one truck and one trailer. You are not going to win too many arguments. You might think you are, but more often than not, you're not going to win. Just because you took some fancy negotiating class through some guru on radio or TV or wherever they might be, does not mean you're going to successfully negotiate against, I don't know, Kraft or Nestle. You ain't going to win nothing. Now, let me tell you one of the biggest things here that you need to know before you get your own authority. When they talk about stacking up money before you go into this 30,000, 50,000, what have you. Now, remember this. There are going to be some problems along the way that money cannot solve. And you need to know this. You need to hear this, okay? And I'll give you I'll give you a prime example of something that happened to me last week on a holiday week on Thanksgiving. Okay, I got a load on my trailer. Thankfully, it's a dry load going out east. On my way out east, I start developing a truck problem. Okay, got a howl in my drive line. Long story short, turns out to be a rear end problem. Now I got to make a decision. Okay, I got a load on, not that far away from the receiver. Do I try to make it and get this load off, deal with it afterwards, be really nice, be the best case scenario here, or do I put the truck in the shop on the way out there and have to tell this customer that I worked so hard for, that's paying me a lot of money because I'm providing them good service on this lane, that I'm not going to make their delivery? Well, okay, so let's say I put the truck in the shop and I'm not going to make the delivery. It's a holiday week. No telling how long this truck is going to be down, is there? It's probably going to be one of those situations where today's Wednesday and we're not even going to get to look at it till Monday because we're closed for the rest of the week for the holiday. So what are you going to do with this load on your trailer now that you wanted to be a big independent owner-operator with your own authority? You got a responsibility here, and you got to make some tough choices. Okay, now what could you do? Well, if your truck is down, you could try to rent a truck, but that's not as easy as people think. Say just go rent a truck. Okay, there's no enterprise daily rentals for semi trucks. Okay, there's very few daily rentals for trucks in the first place. Number one. Number two, you don't just walk in and sign your name and walk out with one of these trucks. It takes a while to set. It can take a day to set it up between your insurance company, the leasing company, blah blah blah. Number three, chances are if you do find a place that will lease you a truck for a day, it's probably gone because a bigger carrier has already taken it to get one of their drivers down the road. Number four, it's going to be more expensive than you want to even think about. Okay. Last time I looked into it, the insurance company said you put this truck on for one day, you pay the premium for a month, no matter how long you have the truck, if you turn it in by the end of the day today. Okay, there's a lot of stipulations. This is not an easy process, and more often than not, you're not even going to find a daily rental unless you're a bigger carrier with some, beef behind you. All right, so that's kind of off the table. Really, what would have been the best case scenario if my truck was down, if I could get the tow truck company to deliver the load, if I had to get towed into the shop, have them run it the last 100 or so miles and pay them whatever it costs. Now, it's going to be a couple $1,000s to have them go that extra 100 and some miles and bring the empty trailer back because they're a tow truck company. But as you'll see, that's one of the best case scenarios. Now, okay, so I put the truck down, missed this delivery, say, well, just reschedule it. Well, these things aren't always that easy, okay? It's a holiday, so they're going to be closed the rest of the week, so you can write that week off, and they're not going to look at the truck till Monday. Who knows if the truck will be down for 3 days or 2 weeks. You can't reschedule that appointment until you know you're going to have a truck. And if you're going to a customer like a Walmart or a Kroger, you got to schedule things 5 days out. It's really hard to get a delivery, next day, 2-3 days out. And if you miss a delivery at a Kroger, you'll find out. They'll say, well, we have our next available appointment is 6 days from now. And if you don't like it, tough. You buy the load, then you take the load, you go figure out what to do with it. And this thing of I'll just take it back to the shipper. People that say that don't really understand necessarily how logistics works. You might not be hauling it for the shipper, you might be hauling it for the receiver. People don't just take things back. This isn't Walmart, you just keep your receipt and take things back. More often than not, that's not going to happen. You're going to have a real problem. So, okay, so another scenario. I got the cash. I could, wherever I tow that, I could walk across the street to the Freightliner dealer and write a check for a truck. Say, I got to continue on with this load. Whatever, worst case scenario, I need a truck. I'll go buy one. Well, you can't get it on the road fast enough. You can't get a truck on the road in 4 hours. You got to insurance. You got to get a plate for it. You got to letter it. It's not a scenario either. So you can quickly see here, you can run into some problems that money can't solve. I could throw all the money I want at these people, at the repair shop, at the tow company, at the whatever, and it's not going to solve the problem. So you're going to have this happen. And if you have a catastrophic breakdown, what are you going to do? Okay. It's not, you could say, well, call the broker, have them find another truck. There is no broker. Did you hear me on that? Okay. This is me hauling it for them. Okay. There's no broker to call. I can't call a buddy and say, come pick up my trailer and deliver this load for me and I'll pay you, we'll work it out. I'm contractually obligated that this freight travels on my truck with my trailer. Contracts, you got to read contracts, okay? So we could have worked something out, I suppose, if I could find somebody to haul it. Maybe if I got a broker involved and they, tendered it to the new carrier, I'd have to get the shipper's permission for that. It's a really messy situation. So, if you're on with a carrier, those things happen. They say, well, we'll send another truck. We'll recover your load. Starting to see any kind of value in that 20%. This is a situation. Thankfully, I made it. I delivered the load, and I dealt with the truck after that. But you can quickly see how this could become a very expensive proposition here, can't you? So you got to think all these things through and not just look at the dollar signs, because after the money goes away, which someday it will go away or just be reduced or whatever, you're going to be left with this. And if you built your business plan, if you're getting into this now and building your business plan on $4 a mile freight, God, don't do it. I beg you not to do it. That's not the norm. Even though you might have everybody on YouTube telling you otherwise. But, the thing about it, too, on the other side, is all these failures are yours. You own them. They're your baby. But the successes are also yours. This can also be a very rewarding thing. Just the satisfaction of knowing that, hey, this is mine. I did this. It's either, my heap of junk or it's my, wild success, and I can build a bigger business and go from there. That can be very satisfying, too. So if you're going to do this, I just say do it smart. Obviously go into it with don't go into it broke. Sit down and really work on a business model. Build yourself a business model that can survive through the lean times. It doesn't have to depend on $3 or $4 a mile freight to make it. To whereas if freight falls off or times get lean, you can still make it based on the business model you built. People seem to have a very short memory of what happened in the summer of 2020, merely 4 or 5 months ago. It was devastating times for the independent owner operator with their own authority. A lot of people didn't make it. Don't set yourself up with huge payments. Make sure you really work on getting good insurance rates and quotes on everything, and saving money wherever you can. Building efficiencies through fuel mileage. That's critical. Getting the best prices on fuel that you can. Okay, all these things kind of got to come together. Just trying to jump into it and say I'll figure it out as I go. You'll survive when rates are $3 or $4 a mile. I'll be honest with you. These rates can cover up for a lot of mistakes right now and really, really bad business. But when things start to change, you're going to be rocked and you're going to be devastated. Okay, I don't want to see that happen to you. So thanks for watching. If you like these kinds of things, hit that like button, subscribe, and we will see you next time.